The rain had slowed, but the damage was done. Silver puddles dotted the cracked streets, shimmering ominously in the dull morning light. An eerie quiet had settled over Clearwater, broken only by the occasional creak of a swaying street sign or the distant hum of something lurking beyond the mist. Emily, Jason, and Luke stood in the middle of Main Street, their breaths coming in shallow gasps. Emily wiped her forehead, her fingers shaking as she gazed at the sky. The tear was still there, an ominous gash bleeding faint light onto the town below. She clutched the journal they had recovered from Mr. Grady's house, flipping through its pages with frantic energy. "We need to figure this out," she whispered. Jason, rubbing his arms against the cold, nodded. "We don't have much time. Whatever's in that rift, it's getting stronger." Luke, standing a few feet away, stared at the horizon. The strange figures that had appeared during the night still stood motionless in the distance, their features barely visible through the thick fog. "What if we made the wrong choice?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "What if we shouldn't have taken the book?" Emily shot him a sharp look. "We didn't have a choice. It was our only lead." Suddenly, a low hum filled the air, making the ground beneath them tremble slightly. The figures in the mist began to move, slow and deliberate, their glowing eyes fixed on the group. Emily felt a shiver run down her spine. "We need to do something. Now." Jason flipped through the journal. "It says here that the rain is a veil, a boundary between our world and theirs. If we can disrupt it—" He hesitated. "Maybe we can seal it." Luke swallowed hard. "And how exactly do we do that?" Emily looked around, her eyes falling on the town's generator station. "The generator," she said, an idea forming in her mind. "If we overload it, we might be able to create enough of a surge to disrupt whatever is powering the rift." Jason hesitated. "Are you sure? What if it doesn't work?" Emily squared her shoulders. "Then at least we tried. We can't just sit here and wait for whatever's coming." Luke sighed heavily, then nodded. "All right, let's do it." The trio sprinted down the empty street toward the generator station, their footsteps splashing through puddles of the alien rain. They reached the rusted chain-link fence, which creaked ominously as Jason forced it open. Inside, the old building loomed, its metal structure humming faintly with dormant energy. Emily reached the control panel and began adjusting the dials. "We need to override the safety protocols," she muttered. "It's going to take everything we've got." Jason scanned the manual that lay open on a nearby desk, his hands trembling as he flipped through the pages. "Got it. I'll handle the surge output. Luke, watch the door." Luke took position, gripping a metal pipe he had grabbed along the way. Outside, the figures were getting closer, their movements unnatural and jerky. He could hear their whispers, soft but insistent, seeping into his thoughts. "They're here," he called over his shoulder, his voice shaking. Emily's fingers flew across the buttons, her breath coming in quick bursts. "Almost there, just a few more seconds." Suddenly, one of the figures appeared at the doorway, its hollow eyes locked onto them. Jason gasped, stumbling back. "Emily, hurry." Emily slammed her hand down on the final switch, and the generator roared to life. Sparks flew from the control panel as the entire building shook with the power surge. Outside, the silver rain sizzled and evaporated into a thick mist, the figures recoiling in pain as the disruption coursed through them. The sky above the rift flickered, the gash pulsing wildly as if fighting against the energy being forced upon it. Emily watched in awe as the swirling darkness within the rift began to collapse inward, the edges sealing with a brilliant flash of light. Luke exhaled in relief, lowering his makeshift weapon. "Is it working?" Jason nodded, sweat dripping down his face. I think we did it." As the last tendrils of light faded, the rain finally stopped. The figures outside crumbled into nothingness, leaving only the quiet hum of the generator behind. Emily sank to the ground, exhausted but relieved. "We did it," she whispered. Jason helped her up, glancing at the sky. The rift was gone, but the memory of what had happened would linger forever. "Let's go home." Luke led the way out, his footsteps echoing in the empty streets. The town was eerily silent, but this time it was a comforting silence. Emily held onto the journal tightly, her mind already racing with the questions that remained. "We survived this time," she said softly, "but what if it comes back?" Jason placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Then we'll be ready." As they walked back toward town, the sun broke through the thinning clouds, casting a warm glow over Clearwater. A new day had begun, and though they had sealed the rift, they knew the sky had many more secrets yet to reveal.